Greetings. A few years ago, I put out a video titled Dark Images with Vocab Malone, which I'll link to in the description. And one of the points that was made in that video was that there is no one-size-fits-all sort of explanation which will cover all images. Rather, there are different explanations for the features in different images, and therefore each image should be taken individually and discussed on a case-by-case basis. So with that in the background, I wanted to note that this morning, I, along with others, was tagged in a post by the administrator of the Biblical Rumble Room Forum on Facebook. And I mentioned that I was tagged just in case anyone wants to ask why I'm commenting on this topic. The answer would be I was among a range of people who were tagged on a Facebook post seemingly inviting our comments. And the tag was to a post which was sharing a recent video on the Tazarah channel on YouTube. And the video was titled, European Painting from 945 AD Spain Shows a Black Christ with Black Angels. And by the way, quick comment about the Tazarah channel. It's run by an intelligent young man who has been active on social media for years, who I've long thought should be making videos on his own channel. So I just wanted to say now that I'm glad to see that he has started doing precisely that. He started making videos on his own channel within the last few months. And so my compliments to him on that. But getting to this specific video, it was generally about dark images, and I certainly don't disagree that such images exist. On the contrary, from Extremadura in Spain to Tindari in Sicily to Aparecida in Brazil and various other places, the Catholic Church has built and continues to maintain churches and even cathedrals in some cases, which are centered around certain dark depictions. So I hope it's clear that this video is not a denial of the existence of dark images. Now, in this video, I want to more narrowly focus on the image which is referenced in the title of Tazarah's video, which was also discussed in the first 3 minutes of his video. And as per the point that I just made at the start of this video, the comments I make on this particular image do not apply to all images. Again, each image should be considered individually on a case-by-case basis. So I'm going to play a short excerpt from Tazarah's video, and then we'll take a closer look at the relevant image. This will run for a little less than a minute, and fair use.
We're going to start off with a painting from the year 945 AD. It's called Moralia in Job. So I'm going to zoom in on it. The caption says, Christ in Majesty, down here at the bottom. And as you can see, this is Christ right here in the middle. His two angels, one on each side and two at the top. These are cherubim, if I'm not mistaken. And as you can see, Christ himself is black, undeniably and unmistakably black. So are the two angels on his side, two angels up top, even the one down here. And you can kind of see the two angels on his side. They kind of have like little afro hairstyles.
Okay, with that, here's a slightly higher quality version of the image, and I'll share a link in the video description to the source of this slightly higher quality version. And before I jump into this, I just want to say two things. First, I don't have any comment on whether or not the individuals here are depicted as quote-unquote black, because quote-unquote black is a poorly defined term. Different people use it in different ways, so I don't have any comment on that. Second, an interesting anecdote that's worth sharing here is that One West, and specifically what became the dominant school of One West, or the school that retained at least two of the seven heads, that being the ICGJC at 1941 Madison Avenue, One West in general used to focus on Russian icons, icons in the Russian Orthodox Church. And there was a minor controversy that erupted when Tazarah had some of those images, supposedly dark images, blown up to much larger proportions to be put on display in the church on Madison Avenue. And some people complained that he was putting up images of quote-unquote non-black folks. And part of the reason why that happened was because an image might look one way when it's, in a very small form and low resolution and stuff like that, but it might look differently when you get to look at it up close in the finer details. So I just wanted to share that note. But whatever the case, we're going to look at this image, and what I'm going to propose here is that it seems to me that there has been some darkening with this image, whether because of some sort of degradation of the paint over the centuries, or due to accretions. And so we'll just dive right in and take a closer look at the image, and I hope that'll become more clear as we go on. So first off, just really quick, one last quick note. Yes, it is Christ in the center, and then underneath Christ are the depictions of the four living creatures, which represent the four gospel writers. So from left to right, that's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, who's being depicted there through the medium of the four living creatures. That's a very common theme in Christian art, especially Catholic art. But so what we're going to do is we're going to look at one of the angels, then at Matthew, and then at Christ. So zooming in specifically on this angel at the top left, what I would say is that if you look closely, you'll notice that there are at least two different tones, not only in the angel's face, but so too in the halo. You'll notice that parts of the halo are darker than others, parts are lighter than others, and so too in the angel's wings. And you can also see it in the angel's hands. There's like two different colors in the hands. Parts are darker than others, the two different tones. Now, I mention that because I would say that that's the evidence of either a degradation of the paint or, accretions affecting certain parts of the painting, causing it to be darker over time. And so what I would propose to you is note in particular the graying of the eyes. Notice how what would be the whites of the eyes have turned gray, and notice how the halo, that's clearly a halo, has seemed to have gone from white to gray. And so too with the wings. It would seem the wings were once a lighter color, maybe golden, maybe beige, and maybe some sort of, and now they're at least significant parts of them are sort of dark gray. And so with that, when you look closely at the face, you get this impression that it's at least plausible that the face was once of that sort of lighter tone, as a sort of, I don't know what you want to call it, a sort of pinkish orange or something like that, a sort of flesh tone of a lighter skin tone. And then through these accretions or the degradation of the paint, it got darker, just like it did with the halo and the wings and even the whites of the eyes. And then now, like I said, we can go down to the depiction of the author of the Gospel of Matthew, which is the living creature to the left, the man. Similar issue. You'll notice the skin tone is various different colors. The right side of his face is significantly darker than the left side of his face, and one gets the impression that the right side is due to some sort of accretions or degradation, or just deterioration of that part of the painting. You'll notice that on the right side, the white of the eye is an even darker shade of gray than the eye on the left side, and so too you notice the hands are a couple of different colors at least. So I would say that there has been a darkening here through a process of deterioration. And so too now we can take a closer look at Christ in the middle. Same situation. It seems that there has been this process of degradation or deterioration or just of accretions, attaching to certain parts of it, and hence why you get these different colors. The face is pretty distorted. The whites of the eyes have gone gray, So I think that this has, I think it's clear evidence that this image, not all images, but this particular image has darkened over time for the reasons that were already mentioned. And so too regarding whether the angels on the left and the right of him have what the gentleman Tazarah called afros, it looks like they might have been halos, which themselves darkened. Now, that didn't happen to every halo, but nonetheless, whatever material might have been used for those halos seems to have potentially darkened. So I just wanted to share that to say that while this does not apply to all images, some images were deliberately painted dark, made dark. This particular image seems to be an example of one that darkened over time, as I said, either through a process of degradation, deterioration, or the acquirement of, different accretions. It could be soot, it could be other factors, people touching it, I don't know. But I do think there is evidence that this particular image depicted people who were lighter than may have seemed at first glance in the current day, and then over time it darkened. So I just wanted to share that. As always, I look forward to the comments of others, any comments, questions, or criticisms and objections. I don't censor anyone here, so feel free to share your thoughts, whether positive or negative. And God bless.